Just as a person, one thing I was interested about with Ye was the cab driver Lenny at one point is asking the Stellar character for mercy at a very critical point in the film. And I'm always curious as to when people think that, when you're watching that and you're seeing someone in a position of strength at the moment responding to someone asking for mercy that had put them in a bad situation. What is it about people that are done something wrong that they then expect the people that they've wronged to show mercy on them?
Yeah, that's a tough one because it's kind of like I don't know if you want to say it's like it's a thing where they're really asking for forgiveness, and I think that's forgiveness is a very powerful thing, man. A lot we've downplayed that emotion. We think that well, somebody did you wrong, you want to get them back. Yeah, that's the knee jerk emotion that comes out, or knee jerk response. But the real jewel is, how do you deal with forgiveness? And that whole thing is a struggle. It's not simple. It's not. A lot of places, a lot of films that I see, that it's always cut and dry with that. They never delve into that or dive into that feeling, that emotion of what does it take to have forgiveness. That's a deep battle inside your soul, trying to figure out, like, you're angry, you want to take this person out, but there's something inside you that says, maybe you should not, you need to be a little bit easy, or whatever the case may be. There's that tension that's there. That's the area where I want to play with, so that when it happens, you, the audience, now can actually feel that energy. So it's kind of like diving deep to figure out what's happening inside the soul of a person.
Yeah. And one of your other major film things you did was Juice, with doing some composing there, doing the soundtrack, producing songs on the soundtrack as well. So looking at Juice and Ye in particular as a companion pieces of sorts, given that, how did what you learn on Juice apply to everything that you're able to do with Ye?
Well, it's funny because you're talking about two different eras. Keep in mind that when Juice was basically scored with a lot of low frequencies, and at that time, as you probably well know, there was subwoofers wasn't even in the studios or even in the theaters. So that was the challenge, was how do we get that low energy across on small speakers. And I still don't know if we've got that across, but I guess when you see it now, you kind of like get it, because the time has caught up. Well, the same thing with Ye is that I'm always thinking about how to use the technology in ways that will inspire people to do different things with it. So, for example, one of the reasons why we wanted to do this and mix this in Atmos was because I wanted you to be inside the film and not looking at it as a far off piece and it doesn't have anything to do with you. I want to take you closer into it. A lot of times when people are mixing in Atmos, it's basically a special effect thing, where you see stuff spinning around or things happening, explosions happening, is that kind of stuff. That's when you usually get the immersive environment. Well, I want to see how can I take that immersive environment and put you right smack dab in the middle of a situation. It's kind of like, how do you be in the car? You know, like if you're in a hallway, how does it feel to be in a hallway? I want to take that experience and make it immersive for you, and not just rely on on things, flying around the room.
Okay. Yeah, it's an art, and a science at the same time. And I think that people really, don't appreciate it enough or give it enough credence or credit, in the sense that it really helps shape the experience of the film and what the film means to you and how it lasts. So,
and well, you said something that was real, that hit me, was the fact that, when you think about sound, there is a science behind it, and most of us just look at the artistic value of it, which is great, but the science of it is the things that I'm always interested in terms of how does it feel inside you, because I've never mixed records based on being in a studio and listening to the speakers. I've mixed records by going in the hallway, going in another room, because I want to feel how it comes across listening to it from a distance. Well, the same thing with Ye. I use Trouble Sleep as the heartbeat of it. So the score is written in the same key as Trouble Sleep, so that there's this natural attachment that you have to that particular song that echoes throughout the entire film. But you don't notice it because it's doing a lot of different things. But if you take the song and you played it throughout the entire film, and you played the score at the same time throughout the entire film, they would blend into a total immersive experience that doesn't shift from anything in harmonically. It stays right in tune and right in key. So that's the first thing that was done. And then there's other tricks that's done in there for neural stimulation as well. So that and what am I trying to do? I'm trying to get to the heart. I want you to feel for this, and not just watch it. Because today we go to movies we only go to movies looking for the fight scene. We're looking for the shoot 'em ups, and that's great. But I want to get as much action out of non-action as you get in action. And so the only way to do that is by getting to the soul and getting to the heart.
It's interesting you say that, because a film or a series I just finished watching, it's been out a little bit, but it's called Severance. It's on Apple Plus. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't seen it.
Well, if and when you see it, we'll have to have another talk on our own, because it's to your point, it's very, very the pacing and the score go a long way, because especially in the first part of the series, it's very little action. It's almost exclusively dialogue, and maybe people are walking or they're typing at a computer, but there's not much actual action per se. And the score, because of that, I think it's accentuated the significance of the score, because there are only so many stimulants that are coming to you, because there's not a bunch of movement on the screen. So the sound is, I guess you would say, in a way, Hitchcockian, in the sense that it really colors and gives the texture for what you're experiencing. So when you said that,
that's amazing. You definitely but that to me is where you tell the difference in what I consider to be like when you're trying to become a Hollywood blockbuster versus you're trying to make something that's deep and introspective. Those are not the things that sell big, but those are the things that kind of like last with you longer.
Well, I was about to say, it's like music. Movies we often remember the scenes because of how they make you feel. And a lot of those scenes have music to them, or begin or end with some sort of music, or a dramatic thing. And I think that's that's just a powerful thing. Now, something else you said that I wanted to ask you about with Juice. It's funny you say that, because with the different sound of it, of not having the subwoofers, because I remember distinctly with Enough Respect, Big Daddy Kane's song on there, I remember it not seeming as bottom heavy on cassette in particular than what I was used to hearing, not only from Public Enemy, but even Big Daddy Kane, because obviously he didn't work with Bomb Squad for his first two albums when the Juice would have been coming out. But how did you navigate that reality working with rap, which at the time did have a lot of bottom, to how did that translate on the soundtrack itself to where it didn't seem as bottom heavy throughout?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Because I'm sorry, because by comparison, Juice Know the Ledge, because the bass, I guess whatever the instrument used for the bass in that is very prominent, and it helps really drive the song, whereas Enough Respect, it didn't. So there you go. That's what made me think.
Yeah, that's a tough one, because I tend to look at, when you look at music for songs, you try to look at what is the key elements in it. What is the song saying? What is the song trying to speak? And sometimes bass is necessary to help communicate that language. And then sometimes it's more dramatic with not having it. So that to me is a judgment call, because when we first started listening to rap, we only listened to the kick drum. The kick drum was our bass. And then all of a sudden we started adding on addition bass afterwards. But when you think about it, the rap, the record in itself has to have something in it that draws you into it. Now, with the Know the Ledge, when Rakim was actually working on the piece. I came in as in an area where he was having a difficult time trying to end it, trying to finish it, and so immediately when I could do both of those things, which is I'm a producer that I don't need to shine on the track. My mission is to accentuate or the what I think is the most important points of it, and help get this track over the finish line. And so that was the mindset of thought behind it, because Rakim at the time actually is the actual producer of that record. He wanted to show that he had a vision and ideas that he wanted to get across. The only thing is that, like anything else, when you're trying to do something all by yourself, you get into this crossroad where you feel like, I don't know whether I'm finished. I don't know whether it's good. I don't know. So that's that area of unsurety. And that's the area that's why you need someone else to bounce off of. So that when you do that, you can go like, okay, somebody may say, yeah, I like it, or I'm not really feeling this part. These are things that we all need in order to help us get across. And so for that, I work with them basically on pulling out the elements that I thought was great about it, and then accentuating that, and keeping in mind that he's the star of this, making sure that the mix and everything else makes him sound like a star, and the sound becomes the backdrop. And I think that we've achieved that.
I would agree, because I think obviously there are other sonic elements in Juice Know the Ledge, but it's really his voice. And again, what was the bass on that?
Actually, it was an upright bass. It was
okay.
And matter of fact, I believe, I can't remember, but I think Rakim played it with the God, I want to say the Mirage, the Ensoniq Mirage.
Okay.
Because that particular sound, it's funny because when you look at that track, that in order for that bass to sound like, to me, authentic, it's an upright bass. There's not many samples that you can use that really sound that authentic. And if you bring in a real bass player, you don't get that deepness, that richness that you need, because the upright bass is a lot acoustic, and it's hard to record that, to get all that oomph out of it. So that's that's the reason, that I like that I chose. I like to use the Mirage keyboard, because it really had that's the one thing that it accentuated, was that bass, and that upright bass in there is all throughout the Slick Rick's first record as well.
Now I want you to listen real close to me. I'm going to ask you some real simple questions, and I want some real simple answers. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yes, I understand.
You said that you couldn't have possibly been at the crime scene at 11:15 because you were in the bookstore buying my audio book and my hardcover book at 11:15 when the crime scene occurred in Soren's book.
The History of Gangster Rap.
So you couldn't have been at the crime scene because you were buying the books.
Right. At 11:15, I was at the bookstore at 11:15, and when I bought the books and accidentally left them at the store.
So at 11:15, you couldn't have been at the crime scene because you were buying books, right?
At 11:15, when I was leaving, it was some people coming in, and I forgot to grab.
But you don't remember who
what they look
people,
like.
what they look like, or nothing, right?
No.
So, at 12:15, you were in the bookstore buying my audio book and hardcover book and Soren's book at 12:15. So you couldn't have been at the scene because you were buying the books, right?
Yeah, at 12, exactly, at 12:15 exactly, I was at the bookstore.
Now you see. You know you're not fucked up.
What you mean?
First you said you were at the bookstore at 11:15, and then you said you was 12:15. You know you're not fucked up, man.
He fucked up.
Yeah, he fucked up. You fucked up.
Man, you confusing me, man.
So, you get my book, my audio book, 40 years, and Soren's book, History of Gangster Rap, and if you don't, you know you're not fucked up, right?
Man, the more those cops ask me questions, the more I wish I bought them motherfucking books.